Welcome to Conversation with Zaki Baruti, with your host, Zaki Baruti. And like always, I want to give a shout out to my biological family. What's going on? To the Universal African Peoples Organization family, what's going on? As well as to New Life Evangelistic Center family. Keep up the great work headed by Reverend Rice, and a shout out to our amazing cameraman, Bob. On that note, we'll have another great show because in studio with me, I have I almost want to say lifelong colleague who's been very involved in the movement. We've known each other since the year of 1984, and she's a hard worker in her community, which is located in Kansas City, Missouri, and she's the founder of the International Black Hat Society, as well as she was the founder of the Kansas City chapter of the Universal African Peoples Organization, and I can go on and on about her. And I'll let her share a little bit about herself. And I'm speaking none other than Ms GG Owens, also known as Queen Akiba.
Yeah.
What does Queen Akiba means?
Queen Akiba is the African name I selected during the time that, after your guidance and mentorship, founded the Rising Sons and Daughter program in Kansas City. But throughout the program, and the 3,000 plus young people who went through the program, part of the program was to have an African name selected for your personality. So, of course, I had to get African name as well as all the other young people, but it means first queen of civilization. Okay, then.
Now, normally, and you already gave a little brief insight into some of the work that you do, but I always ask my guests to share some background information that you would like the thousands and thousands of people to know about you.
Okay, let me look in the camera and say this. Born in Kansas City, but not per se raised there, but wanting to always aspire to be like my parents. Father, firefighter, mother went to the first program in Kansas City for nurses of our race, and my grandmother, who is an aspiring businesswoman from New Orleans and Shreveport, Louisiana. We were taught and raised to be helpful in the community, aspire also to be business people, but always to educate and teach. I want to say that my grandmother was one of my greatest teachers growing up, watching her have 4 different businesses, being a landowner there, and her family have one of the first and largest funeral homes in New Orleans, the William Funeral Homes business that's over 120 years old there. So a lot of people in the family were business owners, but the main thing is they always aspired to help and educate people. So also in growing up, I was happy not doing the Star Spangled Banner or Pledge of Allegiance, because my family in many ways felt that was another form of slavery, and it was just carried on through generations. So always aspiring to be different, to help educate people, and to be a helper and an asset in the community, and to also teach people about their culture and to be their own business owners. Those are some of my main things. So the Black Hat Society, I've been able to do that over the years, working first with females and then asking and being prayerful of men coming into our organization, and as well doing the Rising Sons and Daughter Mentor Program. Okay,
then, just a backdrop of our interaction. Share with the audience how we met each other, and as I mentioned, we've been colleagues since the year 1984, if you will.
Exactly. I know everybody has to remember the Bob Lyles Night Talk Show. That was a program,
national syndicated
program educating our people on what's going on across the country.
Absolutely.
So listening one night, he was interviewing you, Zaki, and talking about your candidacy and running for governor of the state of Missouri, which was inspiring for me, and really at that time did not know anybody would take such a gigantic step up in this last state to come out of slavery. Also that you were going to be, you also had written some books, and that you would be at my former high school, Southeast High School in Kansas City. I ain't gonna lie. I was excited. I said, when he comes to Kansas City, I'm gonna make sure I'm there to meet this brother, do some dap, and congratulate him on taking the giant step in the state of Missouri running for governor. Got to meet Zaki, and I would tell everybody, let me look in the camera. I was very excited to meet him. I love a man or a lady with brains. And find out he was an educator and had traveled outside the country. It was very inspiring for me. And also to Brother Paki Mahdi, which was working with Zaki as his administrative assistant. Both were exciting, full of a lot of energy and synergy. So working on Zaki's campaign became something that became very inspiring for me and my family and people in the Kansas City community. So from that point on, when you meet somebody with brains, you want to keep working with them. So over the years, I have been able to travel with the Universal African Peoples Organization, the people I've met through Zaki, and just been able to maintain a really highly educated, motivated friendship over the years, and I'm ever so grateful.
Okay, I truly appreciate that. Now, and you made mention of the Rising Suns program that we saluted you for the gigantic work that you dealt with the many students. You also had a second program, too, impacting the children.
Oh, yeah, Project Alert, and let me give a shout-out to Brother Roosevelt Farrah-Kincaid. Sat down one day and just looking at the disparities. He also worked for Family Court in Kansas City. And we put together a program called Project Alert School Suspension Program for students suspended, expelled, dropout, and court ordered. And was very successful in working to get them back, helping them get caught up on their work at the program. Number one, behavior modification, which is why a lot of people have problems, and get them back in the schools and to graduate.
Now, with both programs, in terms of the number of young people that you impacted, I want you to share with the audience, but we do it on the other side of the break.
Maybe on the journey of life, you feel like you're just overwhelmed. You feel like you're stumbling over one thing or another. You're about to go over the cliff of life. Everything seems so hopeless at this moment. I want to encourage you to get into God's Word. Faith cometh by hearing, hearing by the Word of God. Look around you at the wonders of all that God has created. Let faith come into your heart. Experience His joy, His peace, His power. And as you do that, get your eyes off your problems and look at somebody else. Somebody else that's in need out there. There's so many homeless people at this time. You see them everywhere. So many hurting people. I'd invite you to join us on Friday mornings in front of City Hall at 6:45 to 8:15 and just reach out and be a part of how we're helping the people there. We're get them food, water, transportation assistance, clothing, just hygiene items, a wide range of support. But you take your eyes off your problems. You see somebody else. And it does a whole lot, because a lot of times you go into prayer and you're just focused on the problem, and the problem gets bigger and bigger. Our prayer involves taking our eyes off ourselves, looking to God, the author and creator of all, and spelling out the word acts. First, engage in adoration. Then the C is confession. Yes, and then what do you do after that? Well, you engage in thanksgiving. And then the S, supplication, you go on and ask Him. There's a whole lot in God's Word that will give us direction on that struggle as we go through life. You can also get more if you want to go to LarryRiceMinistries.org. There's a lot there at that site. And we offer you many opportunities here at the New Life Evangelistic Center to go out among the hurting and homeless. You can do that. You can work at our headquarters at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. There's so many different opportunities. And if you want further information, call us at 314-421-3020, but go to nlecstl.org. Let's do something right now. This world is hurting. You and I can make a big difference for good.
Welcome back to Conversation with Zaki Baruti. In studio with me is an activist, one of my dearest comrades over the years, Ms. GG Owens. She founder of the International Black Hat Society, as well as founder of the Kansas City chapter of the Universal African Peoples Organization. I was referring one of our good comrades, Brother Willie Marshall, who has transitioned, used to make a statement: if people do not invest their time and money into their youth, they're committing genocide. Obviously, you were on the opposite end of committing time and energy and money into our young people. For the Rising Suns program, what was the main thrust there again?
Okay.
Rising Sons, Rising Daughters.
Right. First was cultural knowledge and education. You know, you have to know about that, because they never really have taught the really truth about our true rich African culture. So that was number one. Number two, if while you're learning that, you earn the African name to go with who you are about. Also, behavior modification and learning things about our culture and history. Learning, beginning Swahili, being able to know and recognize all the countries on the continent of Africa. Then learn the African dance, learn how to play African drums, making sure you do your chores before you leave home, coming to our homework network program, and then just studying and learning the cultural arts.
So with that said, how many students, how many young people would you say you impacted?
Easily, between both programs,
I would just say...
Rising Sons and Daughters, between 3,000 to 4,000, or closer to 4,000.
Now, on your second program, and again, that program was?
Project Alert School Suspension Program.
Okay, by how many folks did you feel that you...
Easily 3,000, because they sent children, we garnered a contract with the Kansas City, Missouri School District for the next 11 years. We did the program for 12 years in Kansas City. I want to give a shout out to Brother Keith Brown, who at that time was the director of Project Neighborhood, who saw the value in our program and worked to develop and put together a grant with the Robert Woods Johnson Foundation, so we had our first monies to operate our program. I also want to give a shout to the Pioneer Club in Kansas City, which is an illustrious group of African Americans who had done such great things during their careers and also in the story of Kansas City, who also sponsored our program the first 4 years with school supplies and supplying guests and opportunities for them to go to different events in the community through donations.
Okay, so again, I want to salute you for that kind of work and dedication to our young people. Now, you're getting ready to make a great transition in terms of having dedicated yourself to uplifting people, especially black people and people in general in the city of Kansas City. Now you're getting ready to take your talents all the way across the ocean to Africa, and in particular to Ghana.
Yes.
Explain where you're at in life as it relates to, you're getting ready to move your entire family to Ghana?
Yes.
Why are you getting ready to make that transition? And also, I just had to put in, you will be representing our organization as our international ambassador to Ghana. But first of all, why? And there's a number of people that are beginning to move to Ghana and other parts of Africa, but why are you?
I'm going because I've traveled to, during the course of my life, I also was blessed to be able to live in Franco-West Germany and be able to travel to other countries. And to know that...
What other countries have you been to?
Well, I've been to Switzerland, I've been to Spain, I've been to Greenland, I've been to Amsterdam.
Greenland? Okay,
yeah. I've been to Amsterdam, I've been to Paris, France. Oh, let me see. Well, that's a good start there. I've also was able to travel to Cuba with some members and yourself to Universal African Peoples Organization. I've also been to Jamaica 3 times. I've also been to the Bahamas. And also, what's my spot? I did a little...
Yeah, wow, I'm shocked. I forgot you went to Ghana.
And I've been to Ghana recently.
Right.
So...
but you're getting ready to make some would say a complete transition or change by moving out of the country to where? I mean, we already said it, to Ghana.
It's going to be in Ghana. I haven't selected, but I'm going to select what part by, I'll know by summertime.
Okay.
Why Ghana? Well, first and foremost, I want to go back to my grandmother. As we were coming up, we never did that claim to be colored or black. That's something people won't hear me say. I have a little taste in my mouth when I say African American because I can't claim a country that disrespected and disempowered our people and put us in slavery. So in this country, if they want to call it America, fine. But research would tell you different. But let me get back to your question. Honoring my grandmother, she always prayed that it was 9 children in my family, that one of us would travel to Africa. So that's happened. And she also asked us if one of us would commit to returning to Africa to represent our family, and hopefully other people in our family go back as well. For me personally, living outside the country I've done. I have a comfort zone where I feel I can go and not fit in, go anywhere and be successful. You have to have it here already. I felt also a lot of the students in the Rising Sons and Daughters in my program, because I always talked and propped up Africa. So they started asking me, Ms. GG, have you been to Africa yet? And over the last, I'll say 5 or 6 years I've been back in Kansas City, I've been seeing them, you know, as they've grown up, become parents, they're business owners, they've done everything that I asked or, you know, discussed with them. So that's what finally led me. But I wanted to go even before the COVID. So now that I'm more comfortable and I've been there and know the different lies that were told about traveling and living in Africa, I have a more comfort zone. But it's not really new for me, because I've been studying and really educating about Africa for over 25 years, working with the youth program. So now I feel comfortable in going because it's time to go. You don't need to wait till you're in a walker or wheelchair, your health get bad. You got to go while everything is still vibrant. So I finally have committed to saying I'm retired, at least from the company that I came back and worked with alongside with Gigi and Company, which was my main company I always kept. But I feel comfortable going now. I feel real positive, and I feel even more motivated to go. And I'm also happy that my children and my grandchildren and some of my family members are planning to go. Zaki, I will go regardless. I feel it's time for us to move forward, and everything going on in the world right now is kind of scary, but I can't handle microchip or being controlled by a monster.
Okay, on that note, we'll take another break.
So many people are hurting and hopeless. They feel despondent and in despair. They are living on the streets in conditions that are horrible and not suitable for any human being. And it takes so many loving people to walk alongside them and give them opportunities to change. Zaki Baruti and his show is exposing the people who are making a real difference in our community. And he's been a faithful partner of New Life Evangelistic Center for many years. And I want to invite you to be like Zaki Baruti and make an impact in someone's life today. You can love others well, and you can do it in a meaningful and powerful way. I am so thankful for people who have partnered like Zaki, and I just want to share some of the impacts that you're really making when you partner with New Life Evangelistic Center. You're offering 365 days of care for a woman in need who's fleeing domestic abuse. You're offering not just care, but discipleship and mentorship and training services for her. Not only are you doing that, you're also getting hygiene kits and survival gears into the hand of people who need them, who are living on the streets of St. Louis. Not only that, but you're caring for orphans and widows in India, and you're preaching the gospel in every single one of these places, India, Ukraine, and all throughout mid-Missouri. You're also helping hundreds of people each day in the day center in Springfield. You're making a real impact on the lives of hundreds every single day. And you do that when you partner alongside New Life Evangelistic Center, along with faithful partners like Zaki Baruti. How I thank God for people like you for change.
With all the problems going on in the world today, it's easy to feel confused and frustrated. That's why James chapter 1, starting at verse 5, is so important. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it'll be given to him. But let him ask in faith and with no doubting. For the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. For that person must not suppose that he'll receive anything from the Lord. He's a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. Don't be doubting. Trust the Lord.
Welcome back to Conversation with Zaki Baruti. In studio with me is my longtime comrade, friend, and activist, Ms. GG Owens from Kansas City, Missouri, founder of the International Black Hat Society, as well as the founder of the Kansas City chapter of the Universal African Peoples Organization. And you were my campaign manager in the city of Kansas City when I ran for governor '84 and '88, as well as in 2000. Now, we were talking about Ghana. Last year, you went to Ghana. Explain your feelings, your experience there, shall I say. And what city were you in?
We were mostly in Accra, but able to travel.
And Accra is the capital.
Yes, the capital, but able to travel and see other places. The Door of No Return. Some
What was
other
the door?
castles.
What was the? That's a historic site. When you say Door of No Return, what do you mean?
Well, this was originally it was I want to say a fortress that was occupied by a whole lot of different people that came to take over Ghana and and occupied it for a period of years.
Yeah, from the European countries of England and another European country, I can't remember. Okay, so it's a historical site that where after they captured many of the indigenous Africans, they would bring them to the court, and from there, to the slave castle.
To the slave castle, but the original castle was where they used to store gold and things that they were storing and stealing up out of Ghana, because Ghana's famous for gold.
Right.
So what they
In fact, they
did...
used to call it the Gold Coast.
That's right. That is where the name Gold Coast came from.
Right.
But as time went on and they decided that they would start using the products of people to do their work, it became a slave castle. And the Door of No... They held them in the castle for months to see who would actually survive before they got there, because they knew taking them on those ships was going to... It was going to be... a lot of them may die. So what they did was keep them in this castle.
Anyway, yes,
yeah.
Go ahead.
And then those that made it do healthy enough, they would send them on. But the Door of Return is the last entrance out of the building where they left to go get on the ships on the Atlantic and bring them to different countries, mostly to the United States.
So that was a historical site that you were able to visit. You also visited a couple of other historic sites, including the Museum for Kwame Nkrumah. Who was Kwame Nkrumah?
Oh, my God. I think he was one of the most popular presidents in Ghana that actually created and made a whole lot of changes. And
he was
I believe he actually groomed the way that Ghana has had its growth.
Right.
And because of politics, jealousy...
Actually, he was the first black president of Ghana coming out of colonialism. Okay.
Right. We want to make sure that gets said. But I believe he's the one that actually made other creative changes to help them come into their culture and come more up to date there and be more organized. And to me, it's when Ghana really started getting its props and people started being more recognizable.
Now, a lot of folks, I just got to get this in, and still look at Africa from the lens of the old Tarzan movies, that you got people like in tents, living kind of like
prehistoric, running around with spears and everything.
Yeah, all that. Is that the truth?
Ghana, not only Ghana, but every one of the 52 to 54 countries in Africa are all beautiful. It's like being in New York or Los Angeles or most places. People not still, if anybody's in a hut, it's a brand new hut that looks better than most people's houses. It's more modernized. We have to get our psyche together. The brainwashing work is working well on everybody. But for people to go over there, once you go there, I was sold. And I like the motivation of our people, watching them as salespeople. Those are business people. I love watching them have their booths set along the sides of the streets, and you buy from water to furniture. Anything you want to buy is out there for you to buy, for you to look at and see, and then barter on the price. I love that. That motivation got me. And another reason why I picked it for my relocation is because everybody there speaks not only fluent English, but fluent 4, 5, or 6 other languages. But to go someplace, you don't want to take your family across the world, even if it's going back home, and then they got to learn the language. So they can go there and be comfortable, because when I get there, I want to learn another additional language from our culture. But you can't take your family someplace for a shock, and then nobody knows what they're saying.
Right.
So I felt comfortable taking them there to Ghana. Much more friendly. People are so friendly there. And then just to look and just be able to see my people every day, That's going to be wonderful for me.
Yes. And, okay, on that note, we're going to take another quick break.
As we feel the darkness pressing in upon us, both personal needs and needs in the world, society as a whole, it's easy for us to get depressed. And when we're depressed and negative and feeling hopeless, we're not going to be able to help anyone. That's why I daily have to draw strength from the Word of God. That's why I have to go on walks in the midst of the wonders of God's works. And that's why I have to be able to see something that's worked for many, many years in my life, is that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. That He's with us always, even to the end of the world. And that we can be a light, letting His love and power flow in us and through us in a cold, dark world. There are people hurting out there. There's people that are crying out to God at this particular moment in the midst of their desperation. Can we be led by the Holy Spirit to them? Can we believe God to reach out and let His love flow through us and by faith help them meet their needs? That's the challenges that the Lord gives us in His Word. Experience the joy of really helping somebody else and letting the light and love of Christ shine in you and through you.
Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in the green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for You are with me. Your rod and Your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Welcome back to Conversation with Zaki Baruti. We only have a couple more minutes with Ms. GG Owens, a very strong activist who's getting ready to make a great transition and moving to Ghana. And you plan on doing that, how soon you plan on doing that?
It will happen before the close of this year, before this country sees snow on the ground again, which Ms. Gigi won't be seeing no more. I'll be going, and they always say when something great's getting ready to happen, don't tell every detail publicly to anybody, especially people who really know you. So I don't want to disclose, but no, I'll be about it. Okay.
Now, you going, what about your family, your children, your grandchildren? Are they going with you?
I have 2 adult children, 37 and 47, son and daughter, they're going. My grandsons from my daughter are going. My granddaughter will be visiting us. Not too many people will be able to say, my child is spending the summer with their father, or the child telling their friends, I'm spending the summer in Africa. See, that's a wonderful thing. I do have a couple of nephews and nieces who are with spouses and children who will be coming a little bit later in the year to meet us. So it's an entourage of us going.
Oh, okay then. Well, of course, I wish you the greatest success. And as I mentioned, you've been the organization international representative to Ghana. Now, in terms of, say, a message to people, there's a lot of concern out here in the community, especially with the new administration and among black people and some progressive whites of moving out of the country. What would you, we only got a minute left, what would you say to people in terms of that whole concept of moving out of the country?
I would say, first, get all your documents together, your Social Security card, your birth certificate. If you go and take inoculations, go get your shots or get your medical exemption form together and go get your passport. Start saving money. You don't need to keep shopping. Because if you are, and I want everybody to get on Google and look up Agenda 25, because people need to be ready when they start talking about putting chips in people and the internment camps. So I don't want anybody to think those things are not going to happen. It's an agenda already planned. Just tell anybody, get your credentials together, get a passport, and be ready to travel.
Okay, on that note, it has went fast. I'm trying to have you on just before you leave again out of the country. But to the audience, again, we say know the issues before you go vote, but do vote at every election, as well as join an organization that speaks truth to power and have a track record. And we say join the Universal African People's Organization. On that note, may God bless each and every one of you.